Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Just a couple of reminders. Of course, you haven't turned down your cell phone yet. Now would be a good time. Each time we introduce a new dais, please identify yourself and your affiliation the first time you ask a question. We have two mic holders here for your questions. Karen over here, Dawn right here. There's no flash photography allowed, no recording of any kind, including cell phone and tablet use. This afternoon's sessions are like the mornings, 15 minutes each for the student athletes and 15 minutes for the head coach. Up here now are the Xavier University Musketeers. They are the #1 seed in the West region. They are the Big East regular season champions, and they'll face number 16 seeded Texas Southern in Friday's game. The men's basketball contact is Tom Iser. And the student athletes up here are J.P. McCura, Karam Cantor, Trayvon Blewett, and Sean O'Mara. And we will go right into questions right here. Thank you.
Pat Brennan, Cincinnati Enquirer. Welcome, fellas. I wonder for the three returning players, is this a happy, kind of joyful moment to be at this stage in the season, or is it that your fourth trip to the tournament? Does this kind of feel like a business type trip at this point in your career?
We'll start with JP and move that way.
I mean, I would say yes, it's a business trip. The coaches have talked to us about it all year, about taking one game at a time and never overlooking an opponent. And I think that we just need to lock in on Texas Southern and really know what they run and how their players play.
Yeah, pretty much what JP said. It is a business trip for us. Like we said before, seeding doesn't really necessarily matter. Anything can happen. So, we just got to take this game, take the tournament one game at a time, and just, focus on what's in front of us.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing for me, honestly.
Shannon Russell, The Athletic. JP, do you have a black eye right now?
Yeah, got elbowed. It really hurt.
When? And by whom?
Practice. I don't remember who did it, though. I'll get him back.
So looking at this tournament, the top four seeds, Xavier seems to be a popular upset pick. It seems like a lot of people want to choose against you guys. What do you do when you hear that information, and how do you kind of react to people being against you at this point?
Nothing. We don't really care about those people at all, to be honest with you. We care about our teammates and our coaches, and we're going to prepare for Texas Southern.
For Sean and Karam, regarding the game itself, how do you evaluate the matchups at the center forward position? They're kind of undersized for their starter, and then they have a 7-footer coming off the bench. How do you guys view that matchup?
Karam, you start, please.
We watched a little bit of videotape yesterday on what they like to do and stuff. We just had to play our basketball. We have enough talent to beat any team in the country, so we just had to stick to our game plan.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that has a lot of guys that have come through from a lot of different programs, so we can't really see them maybe as what might be on their jersey, but these guys are high major players. It's a very good team. They're here for a reason.
Trayvon, Coach has said that he thinks your team defense has grown up a lot in the last 3 weeks. Would you agree with that assessment, and what particularly do you feel like you guys have done better than compared to earlier in the season?
Yeah, I think that, we have, and those areas is just locking in on the key details, whether we're supposed to whip screens or, chase screens coming off, ball screen defense, just different type of stuff, just making sure that we're sharp. I wouldn't necessarily say it was the energy, the effort was there. It was just, just being focused and locking on to certain players and how we play those certain players.
Sorry, just a follow-up question. One of the issues maybe the team has had is putting together two halves that were consistent. What gives you, I guess, the idea or the promise that you guys can do that heading into this tournament?
Just from, what's been going on in practice, I feel like, the last practice we had, and it's just a lot of energy, and you can just tell that we're excited and they're ready to get this postseason going. So based off the couple of practices, I would say that's an indication that I feel like we're ready to put two halves together.
For Trey, if you don't mind again, DeMontre Jefferson. He's an interesting little guard. Kind of fits the prototype of guard that has given you guys trouble over the course of time. Just what do you make of him?
I mean, I've known him since about middle school. I mean, I've played him probably about 5-6 times growing up, and he's always, been that type of player. And he's a great player. He lacks the size, but he makes up for it with his scoring and all that. And he's an exciting player, but we have shown that we have trouble with small guards in the past, but I feel like we've made adjustments to that, and so hopefully we'll be able to contain him.
Todd Richardson, Nashville Sports Radio. Last year you guys were an 11 seed. This year being a 1, never been a 1 seed before. Does that add any pressure to you guys being more the hunted this year rather than the huntee?
We'll start with JP and go to Karam.
I mean, not at all. Like I said earlier, we're just going to play our basketball and stick to the things that we do, and we're going to take one game at a time.
I wasn't on the team last year, but like Trey said before, seeding doesn't really matter at this point. Anything can happen in March, so we just got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, no pressure. We don't know what pressure is, so.
Same.
I don't want to leave you out, Karam. In terms of your appreciation level, just coming from a 1 bid league up to this point in your college career, what does this stage mean to you?
Everything, this is why I came to Xavier. I wanted to play in the postseason and play at a high level, and I love the fact that we're 1 seed, and I'm just looking forward to playing in the tournament.
Sean, you guys were able to watch the game, I assume, last night when you were out to dinner, the Texas Southern game. What were your thoughts on that outing and your thoughts heading into tomorrow's game about Mike Davis's team?
Yeah, I think you saw them do a lot of really exciting things. They put up some good amount of points. So it's just, like I said earlier, they got a lot of high major guys. That may not be on what may be considered a high major team, but they're very, very talented, and we got to make sure we come out ready to play.
Teresa Walker, the Associated Press. You talked about being number 1 seed. It doesn't matter, but for any of the 4, how aware are you of the fact that a number 1 has never lost to a 16 seed in the tournament yet?
Trayvon?
I mean, we're well aware. They've been seeing it also all over social media. I mean, like, there's no losses or whatever, but we don't really pay too much attention to that. Like Sean said, they're a very talented team despite their seeding. So, we don't look at them as being a 16 seed or it's going to be a pushover game. Like, we know that they're going to bring their best game, and we got to bring ours. I mean, we're the 1 seed, so I feel like, every team is going to look at it and try to give us their best shot, and so we have to be ready to take their punch.
Anything else for the student athletes of Xavier? Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. You're dismissed, and best of luck.
Thanks.
Good job. Good job. All right. Good luck. Head coach Chris Mack is up at 3 o'clock. As advertised, the head coach is here, Chris Mack. We're going to ask him to make a quick statement on being in Nashville, and then we'll go to questions. Chris?
Well, we're excited to be here. Obviously, it's what you shoot for, to get to the NCAA tournament, and hopefully our team will be ready to go tomorrow. I think we had a good couple practices leading up. Face a really good team in Texas Southern, coached by Mike Davis, and got a lot of respect for their talent level, and it'll be a good game. Questions?
Chris, if I could ask you about the game itself, they have a 5'7" guard who could fit the prototype of guards that's given you guys trouble over the course of the season. What do you make of his play, and what did you see from him last night?
Well, what I've known about DeMontre for a long time is he's electric with the ball. He's tiny, but he gets wherever he needs to get. A lot of times when guys are smaller in stature, they tend not to shoot the ball as well. He's not that way. Our guys have a lot of respect for him because they've known him for a long time. He's been a YouTube sensation ever since he's been in high school. He's given a lot of freedom, and very deservedly so. Pushes the ball from end to end. He can finish in the lane even though he's smaller. He hangs in the air, and when his shot isn't there, he finds teammates. He's the guy that sort of stirs their drink and makes things happen for them. And our team's very well aware of how talented he is and how much of a playmaker he is. We got to do a good job on him.
Chris, you all ate at the Jeff Ruby restaurant last night. How did that come to happen?
Y'all ate. Wow, Shannon.
Suddenly Southern now. How did that come to be? And I also heard a rumor that you were able to meet Kid Rock. Did that happen?
Both, yes. When we were assigned Nashville, I got a text from Mr. Ruby, and he said we would love to host you. And I know, obviously, we leave a couple days before the game, and the last thing you want to do is eat a Ruby steak the night before. So we did that a couple nights before, and ironically, he texted me and said my favorite entertainer was going to be there. And so I was like a little kid in a candy store waiting for him to come in, and I was pretty composed. I didn't stutter my words. You can check with my daughters, but yeah, it's pretty cool meeting Kid Rock. Really cool.
What did he say, if I can follow up?
He doesn't follow college basketball. He talks about Detroit being a really pro town, and I just quickly diverted the conversation to having seen him in concert 7 or 8 times, and it's pretty cool. It's good.
Coach, how much your improvement on the defensive end of the ball, specifically with man-to-man defense this year? How much of that do you think is just personnel and size and depth, and how much of it is execution?
Well, defense is always personnel-driven. You've got to have guys that have the DNA to get it done, length, quickness, strength, and then the IQ part might take a little bit of time, especially for younger players. But I do think our team has gotten a lot better defensively over the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season. And as I told him, our season will end if we don't make good decisions with the basketball and we don't defend at a high level. And nothing exposes you more than the NCAA tournament with all the talented teams and talented players and well-coached teams you're going to play. So our defense will be up to its first challenge, and hopefully it won't be our first and only challenge tomorrow evening against a team that likes to push the ball and give their players a lot of freedom.
Yeah, Chris Johnson, Sports Illustrated. Coach, if you sort of look at the early discussion about the NCAA tournament, Xavier is commonly considered as the weakest #1 seed. And I was just talk to your guys about that, and if so, what those conversations have consisted of.
If I've talked to our team about being the weakest #1 seed?
Just the general perception that you guys are the weakest #1 seed.
Yeah, I don't worry about general perceptions. I got other things that I have to worry about, starting with Texas Southern's personnel. But whether they think we're the strong. Nine seed, the last 16 seed, who really cares? You know, you throw all these teams in one tournament, and the better team on that particular night wins, that they get to advance, and the other one gets to pack up and worry about the next year. So I got a lot of other things to worry about talking to our team about.
Chris, this Kid Rock thing is really shaking my understanding of who you are as a person.
Hey, no problem, man.
No
problem.
What's your favorite
I wear
song?
it proudly.
What? No. I didn't mean it in a disparaging way. What is your favorite song? And did you do all rap metal? Were you like a Limp Bizkit guy too?
No. Devil Without a Cause probably be my favorite song. I could give you a ton of them. Flying High with Zach Brown Band. It's on one of his later albums. You know, he's really changed his, approach to music. He's more rhythm and blues and country now, that he's older. So am I. So maybe we're on the same sort of. Wave level, I don't know. But, people make fun of me for loving Kid Rock. And you know how much I care? Zero.
I do know that you care zero. I wasn't seriously. I wasn't insulting you.
Believe me, I didn't take it as an insult.
All right. A serious question.
That wasn't serious?
More serious.
All right.
Regarding tomorrow's game, they have an interesting setup at forward center with Marquise and then the 7'2" player coming off the bench. What do you make of that matchup relative to your personnel group at that position?
Yeah, I mean, our players have a healthy respect for Travion Reed. He's 7'2". We played against him when he was at Auburn. It was his first game that he was eligible as a freshman. We had Spalding tattooed on our forehead about 3 or 4 times in that game. He's got NBA length. He has NBA shot blocking ability. And so we're going to have to do what we can to draw him away from the basket. It's been my belief and sort of the way I was raised in coaching that you have to go at a shot blocker instead of going away from him. If there's airspace, he's going to win. He likes to block shots off the ball rather than on the offensive player that he's actually guarding. But he changes the game defensively, and our players are going to have to recognize when he's committing to the shot versus when he's committing to the player that he has underneath for the dump off. And so he's a big part of what they do on both ends of the floor.
Therese Walker, the Associated Press. With the perception of you as a number 1 team, have you addressed it with your team, the idea that a 1 has never lost to a 16? Do you address that at all with your team?
No, I think our players are very well aware of that. I mean, they watch ESPN and FS1, and they have Twitter accounts. So we recognize that no 16's ever beaten a 1. That's not really my concern. We don't have to play those other 80-something games that were played in the past. We have to play Texas Southern tomorrow, and we have to be better than them. And hey, if we don't win, we don't win. But we're gonna give it our best shot. We're gonna play really hard, and being locked in and having fun and being a group that is playing to win a national championship tomorrow night is who we're gonna be.
Chris, this is the 4th year for 3 of your core seniors to come together. How would you characterize the difference of each trip as you take this 4th one? It's
hard to sort of compare and to think back because you're so in the moment. I look back on their career, with a lot of fondness because when they came in as freshmen, we sold them on a dream of playing in the NCAA tournament every year, and based on our history, why wouldn't you think that? But for those guys to be in their senior year, in their 4th NCAA tournament, having won a Big East regular season championship, earned the 2 highest seeds in the history of our program in NCAA tournament play, along with all the personal accolades, I feel like I sold them a dream that was not a dream. It became reality, and it was through a lot of hard work that they gave. And I'm going to miss those guys and hopefully have a lot more games to coach them.
Coach, after the Georgetown game in which Najee Marshall scored a career-high 21 points, he hasn't scored that many points combined in the last 4 games. Are you happy with his shot selection, and what can he do to be more of the player he was offensively a few games ago?
Yeah, I mean, number one, Najee, his best attribute and his best gift for us as a freshman is to be a terrific on-the-ball defender. We give him a lot of different challenges, from point guards to power forwards. I don't necessarily worry about his shot selection. I want his confidence to be at an all-time high. He doesn't take bad shots. Early in the season, his biggest downfall was turnovers, and I think he's done a pretty good job for the most part of trying to keep those down. But offense will come and go at times. It's the effort that you have to give on the defensive end that he can really help this team. I think he recognizes that. There's nobody on his team that's lost confidence in Najee. Things just sort of worked out right against Georgetown, and we have other guys that can score the ball when maybe it's not going in for him as well.
Anything else for the head coach? All right. Thank you very much. Good luck, Chris.
Thank you.
Missouri is up next at 3:30. Still here. Great. Hey, you gotta take it easy on Bradley on these matchups, okay? I mean, God bless it. We're picked 7th in the league. This dude's going to the NCAA. What are you doing? I think they'll be picked 4th or 5th. And they'll be in the mix for 3, 4, 5 next year. Yeah. So get us a 3, 4, 5. You've done that. These guys. You know me and my respect for Brown basketball. We gotta make sure we get something. Oh man, we've never won a game in that series. Won 5 games, and won 13 games, and won 20. And finished 5th. And won a game in the tournament. Went to the semifinals. 2 points behind Loyola with 2 minutes to go in the semifinals. So it was a nice step. Yeah, they take a nice step. Exactly. Valley's okay. I mean, they were 8th this year, which is better than they were with Wichita. Yeah, right? Yeah, it took us reminded me here. I wasn't worried about the challenge. It's a good thing, right? Yeah, I agree with our coaches. Don't see the Valley up there right now. The great thing about the Valley is all their everyone's going to the conference. Yes. And the conference wins where you need to be. Yes, right. First time in a while. But a couple of coaching changes now. Marty Simmons, Paul Lusker's out. Yeah. Me too. Anyway. Some people just don't understand where you're at. No. You can't win national championships. Memphis, hello. Exactly. We were down 3 as well. Colorado State, Utah State. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good luck. We'll be here tomorrow. Just two, yes. Patrick Crawford, common spellings.
of it lately, but it's pretty good.
Our 3:30 time slot features the University of Missouri Tigers. They are the number 8 seed in the West Region. They are out of the Southeastern Conference. They will play Florida State, the number 9 seed, in Friday's second game. The men's basketball contact is Patrick Crawford. We have Cassius Robertson and Kevin Puryear up here on the dais, and we will go to questions immediately. Come right here, probably stay here.
Am I good? Awesome. For either one of you, now that you've had time to study Florida State, obviously you guys didn't know much about them on Sunday, but what stands out to you about them?
I would say really just their speed. You know, being in the SEC, you know, Arkansas is really probably one of the fastest teams in our league. I think that's kind of the comparison that I'll draw with them. They have some really good guards. Like to attack the lane, and they got some guys that can really get in the lane, and those guys that can get in the lane really complement the shooters as well for kicks, and got some big guys on the interior that can block shots as well. So I think they're pretty well-rounded team. So it's going to be a good challenge for us.
Cassius, want to add anything to that?
No, Kevin said it all. They really got size, athleticism. You know, they're really good at breaking down guys off the dribble and, you know, kind of getting in the paint, working it inside out. So, yeah, I think they're going to be a good challenge.
Hey guys, just the basic, you know, what the experience has been like, and as you're finally here and able to soak it all in.
Cassius, you're first this time, please.
It's been really cool. The hotel we're staying at is really cool. You know, obviously this will be our first day of practice over here, so it'll be nice to get on the court over there and kind of feel the place out. But I don't think I've taken it in completely until we start playing, I think. So I'd hold off my answer until we actually start playing.
Kind of piggyback off what he said. It's been really fun. You know, just being able to just interact with some people since we got here. Extremely humbling opportunity for us. You know, we worked extremely hard to put ourselves in this point, but to actually be here, it's kind of surreal. You know, I'm a junior. This is my first time here, and this is Cash's first time here as well. So really just soaking in every opportunity that we get, and, you know, it's been really fun so far.
For both of you, you know, Kevin, you talked about when you've committed to Missouri about bringing the program back to a place like this. Just how much does this mean to you after, you know, the past 3 years? And for Cassius, obviously you said this was your ultimate goal for a while. Similar question.
Kevin, lead us off, please.
I mean, it means a great deal to me growing up in Missouri, and, you know, being a fan of the program pretty much my whole life. You know, I always dreamed of getting this team back to this point, and, you know, being able to contribute to that. You know, it's a feeling I can't really describe, you know, especially after, you know, winning a total of 18 games my first 2 years of college. So, like I said, just an extremely humbling experience, and really glad that, you know, unfortunately, I mean, they suck, but, you know, taking those bumps that I took and learning along the way, like those, I needed all those lessons, you know, to get me to this point here, and makes it even more special getting to experience it with these guys.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Okay.
It's okay. Gentlemen, I know you guys have tried to work Michael Porter back into the mix here. Has that been challenging? How have you guys kind of tried to navigate that in practice and finally through games recently?
Cassius?
We just let him, you know, be honest. He's a great player, so he's not going to try to be somebody he's not. He's going to come in, play the game. And, you know, don't forget we did have, you know, 3-4 months of practice with him before the season started. So it's not like he's a stranger to us. We know exactly how he plays, who he is. So it's just a matter of, you know, getting him game reps, and this has been and practice reps, and this has, you know, been the last couple weeks. He's been able to get a good game under his belt, and now, you know, he's had a week of good practice. So I think he's fine. I think it's not really any concern of ours to make sure he's back and back with the kind of flow of the team. I think he's doing fine.
I would say the same. You know, he's a very selfless player. So he's, you know, he's not one, like Cash said, to do anything completely out of character. I mean, we love playing with him. He's just working to get back in, you know, to his game self. And you know, he's been out the game for quite a while now. But you know, he's coming along really nicely. And you know, with how we've been practicing leading up to this point, you know, from some full speed, you know, getting up and down for a while practices. I think that's just helping him even more to get acclimated. So, you know, he's been doing a great job thus far.
For both of you guys, you're down to 8 players now. Just how much has been emphasized this week about not getting into foul trouble and trying to play with just such short depth?
Kevin?
To be honest, I don't think we talked about that at all. Like, I don't think we want to get away from playing how we play. Our last game was actually pretty bad as far as, you know, us fouling. Probably the worst game we've had all year as far as guarding without fouling. But, you know, that was probably the only one I could really think of in recent memory where we've had a game like that. But I think we really want to stick to our principles, not be tentative. Even though we're low on bodies, still play aggressive and play how we play, and you know, everything else will take care of itself.
Teresa Walker, the Associated Press. For both of you, you talk about working Michael Porter back in. How much, though, does it help, you know, even with the numbers you've got this right now, you got to the tournament and now you get to add him back into the mix. Does that provide maybe an extra dose of confidence as you get ready to take the court?
Cassius?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, obviously a great help to our team. Anytime you can add that type of talent to your team is, you know, nobody would say no. He brings so many things to the table, not just scoring as well. So when he is playing at his best is, which I don't think anybody's seen in college basketball just yet. You know, nobody has gotten a real good look at it, so it's kind of hard to scout for them too. And he just, like I said, he just brings so many different dynamics to the game. And especially for us, like, you know, Alex said, we're down on bodies. We're really low on bodies, so you know, it's kind of perfect timing that he came back and kind of helped us out with that as well. So there's so many you know, tangibles that he's brought by coming back.
Question in front row.
For either one of you, if you were to win Friday, you'd add Jordan Barnett back into the mix on Sunday. Because he's played with you guys all year, is it an easier integration to bring him back in the fold if you were to win tomorrow night than it would be with Mike when he was out for so long?
Kevin?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Barnett's only been out for, I mean, this will be his only game all season. So, you know, I don't think he'll really miss a beat, honestly. You know, he's been a great producer for us all year, rebounding, shooting. You know, just being that gritty guy that we've needed all season. So I don't think it'll be very hard to get back into the mix of things. And you know, if we win this first game, I think he'll come back in full swing.
Anything else for the student athletes of Mizzou? Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. Best of luck tomorrow night. Coach Martin is next up at 3:45. Yes, it is. Thank you. Head coach Cuonzo Martin is here with us. He'll guide the Missouri Tigers against Florida State. He'll make an opening statement about being in Nashville, and then we will go to questions. Please.
I'm very excited to be here. Our guys have done a really good job throughout the season, dealing with a lot of different things, adversity, injuries. Tremendous effort from those guys to stay the course, to stay positive, have energy, and now to be here in the NCAA tournament to play against a very talented Florida State team, which Coach Hamilton is one of the guys I truly respect in this profession. So happy to be here and excited to play.
Hey, Cuonzo, on Sunday you said you knew some of the tendencies of Coach Hamilton's team, but obviously you didn't get to see much of them on film. Now that you've had some time, just what stands out to you about them?
They're talented. I can't give you everything, Alex. No, they're a really good team. Length, it seems like coach teams always have length, athleticism. They really score on the ball. They've always done a tremendous job in defending. I think that's what Coach Haynes has had at. But when you're talking about scoring 80 points now, so that's a whole nother level you have to factor in. The way they score the ball, the way they get out in transition. In most cases, they'll have 4 guys on the floor at all times that can handle, make decisions, get to the rim, make a shot. And then they put so much pressure on you with their length when they're on the defensive side of the ball. And then the other thing they do, they'll send 4 or 5 guys to the glass. That means you're boxing out. In most cases, you might box out 3 guys, maybe 4. Now you're blocking out sometimes 5. And that's not something we've seen a lot this season.
Go here, then here.
Cuonzo, now that you've had Michael for a game, has there been any, I don't know if easier is the right word, but kind of setting where you see players playing and performing at their best now that you've got one under the belt?
I think he'll be. I didn't think he played bad in the last game. I thought he played with a level of confidence. Anytime you can shoot 17 shots, and I didn't think he forced shots, that shows his level of confidence. So that part was great. That he didn't lose that. I just think really put him in position so he can be successful. Allowing it to come to him because, again, the pressures, the stage, the adrenaline, all those things factor into how he performs and just really having fun, but really fitting him into what the other guys are doing so he can complement the other guys. It's too late in the game for a guy to say, okay, let's do what we do, change it to fit him. He has to fit into what the guys are doing. I think he'll do a good job with that.
Cuonzo, having guys that lost so much there in the past 3 years, just how much do you think it means to them to be in the NCAA tournament, and also for Cash, because obviously a big reason why he came here was for another shot at the tournament?
I think it means a lot. I think it means a lot to all the guys because they put the work in, and they saw some situation where I wouldn't say it started looking bleak, but when you got guys going down, you got one of your key guys, who a guy you probably factored in as being your leading scorer, he's not there. So now you have some bumps in the road. You lose 3 in a row here, you come back and win a game. You lose 3 in a row, next situation, you come back and win a game. So a lot of different things factored into those guys are not allowing themselves to give in or give up. So I think it speaks volumes about their character, their makeup, to be resilient and continue to fight. So I'm just really happy for them to do that because I've never been around a situation where you win 27 games in 3 years. So the mental state more than anything before you even get to the floor, how you develop the confidence level so guys can compete and understand that they're still good players. You just went through something. So let's learn from it and let's become better basketball players.
Therese Walker, the Associated Press. Your numbers are down right now, and Barnett is sitting out tomorrow night. How much does that maybe help getting Porter back and having a full week of practice under his belt since he had some game action?
I think it helps a great deal. You can't, as talented as Mike is, you can't replace what Barnett brings to the table just from the standpoint of his presence and his ability to be calm through any type of situation and the way he shoots the ball from the three-point line at a high level. But I think Mike obviously is a very talented player, and we'll put him in a position to be successful. But you're not going to replace a guy of that magnitude because he's been through it for so long, and guys lean on him for production and a veteran presence. And I've never been around a guy. He's 22 years old, but that sense of calmness to him through any situation. So, and most players look to that, and if he's not there, then it's an adjustment within itself.
A couple of your guys said right now this just seems like another road game. Is that how you want them to approach this? Is there any worry about, hey, putting too much on this because it has been a while?
I don't really put nothing on outside of this is what we do to be successful. Defend, rebound, and play as hard as you can play from start to finish, because the emotions, the adrenaline, that's what it is. I mean, you can say what you want to say as a coach. I knew Coach Katie said a lot of things in that locker room, but my feelings were my feelings when I stepped on the floor. So our job as a coaching staff is to prepare the guys to play the game and to play with a level of mental toughness more than anything, and stay the course. Whatever happens, up 10, down 10, whatever happens in the game, stay the course, because you'll give yourself a chance to win if you do the things that we talk about.
Cuonzo, if you win tomorrow, you'd bring back Barnett on Sunday. With him only missing one game, I take it, is it a lot easier for him to, to integrate a guy back into a postseason game because he's played for you the whole season, or there's still a challenge in it?
I don't think there's a challenge at all, because again, his approach, I think what makes him good is his approach to the game, his approach to practice, and he's so even keeled, so I think that helps him. Now, maybe obviously deal with it something mentally, how he's going through, how people might perceive him when he step on the floor, how he think, what people might think of him, and he might deal with that. But I thought he's had a great presence to him in dealing with tough situations, even on the floor, and I think he'll be okay.
I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on your relationship with Coach Hamilton. When did you first meet him, and what has he meant to you throughout your career?
Well, I've known him for a long time, even though we hadn't met. When I watched him from afar, his presence as a coach, his reputation. So I started coaching in 2000 at Purdue with Coach Katie. So I would imagine somewhere around there. When you're assistant coach, and even so as an African-American coach who's been doing it for a long time, you migrate to guys to get information. How do you do this? How do you maintain? How do you have success? So all those things. But I think it probably started one of his assistant coaches, because that's how you're always around each other. And then wanting to meet Coach and his demeanor, his calmness as a man, as a leader, it really stood out to me. And I've always been a defensive-minded guy, and Coach is built on that. So just developing that relationship from that. But really, oftentimes we talk a lot, and it's not even about the basketball piece. We talk about the development of young men. How can you help young guys outside of basketball? How can you help other coaches when they come into this profession, like he helped me when I first got into it with the information he gave me? So how can you help other young guys get into it? So we spend a lot of time talking about that more so than the actual game.
I guess the 38 minutes that you're missing now from Jordan, I mean, are Reed and Brett playing similar roles as to what they were last week, or do you ask that core six guys to play maybe more than they would have otherwise?
Well, the thing we always talk about is just be prepared. So now in Brett Rouse's case, to be prepared to play, same with Reed, he's in the fold. But we don't go into a game and say, we'll try to get this guy 15 minutes. We play basketball. We try to win the basketball game. We want our key guys to be on the floor. And this time of year, you don't have no time to rest. You can rest in the summertime. You got all April, May, whatever. You can rest then. This is basketball. And I think for most young guys, I would imagine at this stage, I'm not fatigued or exhausted by anything. I'm trying to win games.
Coach, going back to your relationship with Leonard Hamilton, is there maybe a particular conversation in mind that kind of sticks out in your mind, and how much has he kind of helped your career?
Well, I think the biggest thing, outside of a lot of conversation, because this is years, but the biggest thing I think what he always talked about is even though you've been around coaches, and I was under Coach Katie, and obviously Coach Katie is like a father to me, and he taught me a lot of things. He just said you always want to have your own style, whatever that is. And he said, don't let it be a struggle to do what you want to do as a basketball coach, because if it doesn't work, then it was what you wanted to do as a coach, And that was a hard thing for me for years to understand, that because you have a blueprint in your mind, you think this is what it's supposed to be, and but if you want to tweak something here, you want to make a change, it's like, should I do this? Will it work? And just being confident in doing what you do, because this is my 10th year as a head coach, and just even that conversation years ago, some things I've changed this year, and it helped me become a better coach. So, and that's the information I would give a new coach, a young coach. You have to be able to do what you feel is best and what you feel comfortable with, and not get caught up in what you see somebody else doing, and just be you.
Anything else for the head coach of the Missouri Tigers? That's right there in the end. Go.
Cuonzo, with all the changes to your roster all year long, the guys never really seemed all that rattled by it. I mean, how have you liked their approach to kind of the outside noise when there's a lot of changes happening?
Well, I thank you for that, just in your observation, because that's what, amongst a lot of things, I take most pride in. Because outside of whatever happens on the floor, you win some, you lose some, you miss shots, you turn the ball over, whatever happens. When you're talking about real life, because this all translates to real life, stuff happens in your family as a father and as a husband. You're a leader of your family. What do you do when adversity hit? Do you break? Do you give up? You quit? You deal with it, you brush it off, and you keep moving forward. And that's what I try to tell our guys. And not that you don't deal with situations, deal with it and learn from it. And though some lessons are more painful than others, but let's make the necessary adjustments, deal what we need to deal with, and let's move forward, because we don't have a lot of time to complain and make excuses, because the truth of the matter, and this is what I really tell them, this is only a sport. That's real life. Somebody didn't wake up this morning. So now, let's put this in perspective of what it really is. It's just a sport, and there's a lot of entertainment, and obviously it's at a high level, and everybody wants to win and be successful. But man, I'm not losing a lot of sleep over you missing 10 shots in a game when somebody lost their life. That's the big picture. Yeah.
Coach Martin, you recruited Phil Kofer to Tennessee. When you left Tennessee, he came to Florida State. Was there a conversation between you or your staff and Leonard and his staff, or was Phil being recruited by Florida State at the same time?
No, well, as I recall, when I left, and the one thing when I left Tennessee with the current guys at Tennessee and even the guys that we recruited, what I suggest to all those guys is stay at Tennessee and be a part of it, because I thought they had a good core. That was the biggest thing. And I've never been a guy to try to, poach a guy, take a guy, and do all those things. Be a part of that, what you're doing. And in Phil's case, because obviously I knew his mom and dad real well, but it wasn't as if I was saying, okay, let's get you on the backside to go to Coach Hamilton, because once guys found out I was in transition, so it wasn't like I was on the phone helping other guys. I was trying to find my way in what I was doing. But I think it came down to some point where his mom and dad might have, talked about what's options, what about this program, what about that program, and maybe I gave my 2 cents, but it wasn't a case of, Coach Leonard, doing something he shouldn't have been doing or whatever. It was all above board, and I thought it was a great fit for him, because at the same time, what helped them, they were recruiting him as well, so it worked out for them. Yes.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And best of luck against Florida State.
Thank you.
Texas Southern is up next at 4:15. 4:15 time slot features the Texas Southern Tigers. They're the number 16 seed in the West Region. They are the Southwestern Athletic Conference tournament champions. They will play number 1 Xavier in Friday's third game at 6:20. The men's basketball contact is Demetrius House, and these gentlemen are already 1-0 in this tournament, coming in from Dayton last night. DeMontre Jefferson, Dante Clark, and Trayvon Reed represent the student body for Texas Southern, and we will go right to questions. Start right here.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. For DeMontre, I think a lot of people saw you for maybe the first time last night. Just your height, how often has that been used against you? How much of a chip on your shoulder has that kind of been as you've gone through your career? How much has that been used as a knock against you?
The knock on me was always been my height. Kind of just the knack of a lot of guards, because I have a scoring mentality, and being my height, a lot of coaches kind of figured that I should have a passing mentality. So I just kind of like put the height to the side and try to replace my height and my inches with my heart.
Larry Hale, KTSU Radio in Houston. This is for Trayvon Reed. Reed, you played some great minutes against North Carolina Central. At what point did you really feel comfortable in that ball game?
I mean, as soon as I stepped in, I felt comfortable. Towards like when we was making our run, I felt really comfortable after that. I was just in there trying to do my job, do what I do.
Question on the left here, gentlemen.
For DeMontre, congratulations on last night.
Thank you.
I was asking Trayvon Blewett about you about an hour ago, and he said that you guys knew each other. He said he had known you since middle school. Had you guys linked up on the AAU circuit, or
which one is that?
Trayvon Blewett. If he's from Indy.
I played against him last night.
No, he plays for Xavier.
I probably had to see his face. I don't really remember.
Never mind.
Dante Clark, going into tomorrow's game, how do you feel about the pressure on the 16 seed playing against a 1 seed?
I think all the pressure is on the 1 seed. I don't think there's any pressure on us. We just got to come out and play our game the best we know how to play. So I feel like all the pressure on them, and we just need to go out there and do what we know how to do.
For all of y'all, what time did y'all arrive in Nashville, and the early season schedule you had with all those road games stacked up one on the other? How can that kind of help prepare you for what I imagine has been a hectic schedule for you this week?
Let's start with Trayvon and come to Dante and then DeMontre here.
We got here last night around 2. We've just been up and running, just staying busy, and I think that's been able to. It's been helping me, just being able to stay busy, that's it.
Yeah, like you said, we got in around 2. It was kind of late, but I feel like we still had energy, just because we just got off a win or whatever. So I don't think we too tired, but going off the non-conference games, I feel like we prepared ourselves for this game, playing the teams that we played in non-conference.
Yeah, we arrived around 2, and I could say my team was wide awoke. I don't think nobody slept on the plane. We probably all was still excited with our drilling and running, but we should be we this isn't nothing we haven't done before. Like, we have back-to-back games flying state to state, all non-conference. So just back to the basics, really.
This confidence level of this basketball team, you have all of your pieces back together. You got Trayvon Reed back, you got Dante Clark, you got Derek Bruce helping you out. How confident within the team do you feel coming into tomorrow's game?
Like Dante said, I just feel like there's no pressure on us. I guess the world got comfortable with the 16th seed falling out, but that's not on our mind. 16th seed not on our mind. We go come into this game and we go play Texas Southern basketball. And non-conference showed us that we can play at the level that these teams are playing at. It's just if we can sustain that for 40 minutes, which was the problem earlier on in this season. But now I feel like we can sustain that close to 40 minutes now than we was during non-conference.
This question is for any player. Speak on the history that you made last night, winning the first game in school history, and what it would mean to win another game and to continue playing in this tournament.
We'll get answers from Trayvon first, and then Dante.
Last night win was huge. It was huge for the school. It was huge for us, the coaching staff. You know, going into the game tomorrow night, you know, that's gonna be even, you know, huger. Being able to play against, you know, Xavier, them being the number 1 seed, and we're just trying to go in there and compete. And if we can get that win, that'll be real huge for the school, and that's what we focus on, trying to win.
Yeah, piggyback on what he said, I definitely think it was big for the school and just for the people in the community as far as in Houston and stuff like that, for them to look up to somebody like us as basketball players. Just show them that they can make a dream come true.
DeMontre, the Xavier coach earlier said that he knows you and a lot of his guys know you based on your YouTube videos. How often do you get that from opposing teams and players?
Yeah, I get that a lot. A lot of people approach me like, are you really him? You really this little? I can't believe you be doing those things. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are familiar, but when it's actually in front of you and you actually see how quick it is, and it's a different blur than on those videos.
Real talk. For real.
Anything else for the Tigers of Texas Southern? Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. You are dismissed.
Thank you.
Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Head coach Mike Davis is up next at 4:30. No cups. We're good. Who made it?
I'm not sure if I was just screaming.
Well, I heard the scream and I looked it up.
Yeah.
They
put point 3 back on.
Yeah. But, yeah, wow. Yeah, right? The head coach of Texas Southern is with us, Mike Davis, and he'll open up with a statement about last night's victory, the happy flight here to Nashville, and then we'll go to questions. Mike?
Well, we're excited to be here. Happy to win the game last night. We thought we played a really good basketball game. We didn't shoot the ball well, but we played good enough to win the game, and my boys are really excited to be here.
Start here and then go there.
Steve McGargy, Associated Press. I'm just wondering, the schedule y'all had, the non-conference, was that something you had to do because of budget reasons, or why did you line up the schedule the way you did, and how do you think it's kind of prepared you for what you're dealing with now?
Well, we have a deal with our athletic department that if we go out and raise $350,000, we give it to the school, and everything above $350,000 we keep for our basketball program. And so I want to give my guys a great experience traveling. We go to nice hotels. They eat in the hotels. We eat and travel like a Power 5 other than the charter. And as far as the schedule of all the road games we play, we hadn't played a home game in 3 years. I like to play on the road. And so I want to have a schedule designed to get us better, because only one team is going to the NCAA tournament, and that's the team who win the tournament. And so we just feel like the only way we can get better is to play a really tough schedule. And we don't want to play Division II schools, NAIA schools. I want to go and challenge the best schools out there. So once we get in tournament play, we've seen it all.
Mike, you said last night that you wanted to take a look at film on the flight last night. What have you picked up on Xavier from the film?
Well, like I said last night, they're number 1 seed, and they earned the number 1 seed. They don't give that away. They can really shoot the basketball. They have good speed. All of them are the same as far as rebounding basketball. They all go to the glass, both offensive and defensive boards. It's going to be a very, very big challenge for us.
Adam Sparks of Tennessee. And Mike, what's the last 18 hours been like? Just some of the guys said it was hard to sleep last night. They were still kind of amped up.
They never sleep. They never sleep. So.
What is the travel and the quick turnaround and all that been a challenge to them and you?
It was great. That was my 3rd time going to the first 4, and they always tell you the winning team leave after the game. And so we never won, so I've always wondered how that felt to be able to go play a game, go back to the hotel, eat, and then jump on the plane. And it was just like I thought it would be. It was great. The flight was 45 minutes. Everybody was excited. I think I had 150 texts on my phone, and all those guys on their phone the whole time. But it's another opportunity for us to play against a great opponent like we did in non-conference. And getting in last night about 1:30, took the guys to Steak and Shake to eat. They had a good meal, and it was just really excited for the boys.
Coming off the high from last night, getting that victory, what do you think the team's mindset is going into tomorrow's game?
I can never tell you what their mindset is. I can just tell you what I tell them to think. And I don't know if they think that or not, but we have some tough guys on our team. We have guys that – see, this is the beauty in our schedule. In the summertime, in June and July, they know we're playing Kansas and Syracuse and Ohio State. And so in the summertime, they think they can beat them. They think they can win. And so August, September, October, November, it's hard to convince them that we're not a very good basketball team. And now once they go and play those guys, they realize that it only takes 4 or 5 minutes in a span in those games, and you can be up 2 and now you're down 15. And so around December, January, I can really coach them because we are 1-12, 0-13, and maybe 4-9. And so now I can coach them and prepare them for our conference season.
Hey, Mike. Now that you've had a chance to see Xavier on tape, you'll notice obviously they have kind of a 3-headed monster at forward center. How do you think Trayvon will fare in that matchup? And is there one of those players you might like to see him go against predominantly?
Well, they both are good. All those guys are good. Trayvon is 7'2". What we've talked about with Trayvon the whole season is staying out of foul trouble. going straight up, contesting every shot, but don't swing, go straight up. And we have a drill that we do with him all the time in practice. And over the last 3 games, he's figured it out a little bit. He just goes straight up, and 7-2 is 7-2. And that's why we think that we have a chance against anyone if he's dominating the paint and blocking shots, contesting shots, because there's always a fear factor with a 7-2 player. If he can block 3 or 4 shots, like last night, I think he came in last night, he blocked some shots, and so they started shooting outside shots a lot, and they really struggle from the outside. And Trayvon is a weapon that we have that hopefully tomorrow night that he can stay out of foul trouble and play with the presence that we want him to have.
You've coached at every level. I'm just wondering how your experiences at your previous schools, how has that kind of helped you prepare you for the challenges you face here?
Well, I know the mindset at every level. And here is, we get players here that wouldn't normally come and play in the SWAC in our basketball team. And my job here is to train their brains, teach them about the high level. And it's hard to really teach them until they see it. And once they see it, they begin to understand it. But then we'll go through 18 games of conference play to where we hadn't seen that in a long time. And it's really difficult sometimes to get used to going against something that you hadn't seen for 18 games. And I thought last night game, playing in the first 4, gave us an opportunity to get a win. Last year we played North Carolina. And you know how it is in the Selection Sunday, when you see your name come across the screen, everybody's like excited and they jumping up and down. And we played North Carolina last year, they was like jumping up and down and happy. I'm like, we have no chance. You know, these guys led the country in offensive rebounds. We gave up 31 offensive rebounds in our conference. And so we have no chance to beat them. And by playing the first 4, it gives us a game, you know. And so once it gives us a game, you're a little nervous, you're a little jittery. And so now we can kind of flash back to our non-conference schedule and get that feeling. And now they know why we played the non-conference schedule. I always talk about March 7th. March 7th is the most important date on our schedule. It's not Kansas, it's not Grambling, it's not Southern, it's March 7th. And so on March 7th is when our conference tournament starts, and we want to be the best basketball team that we can be on March 7th, because only one team going. And we have to win 3 games, and we won those 3 games. And now last night, we won last night, and now we get another chance to play tomorrow night.
Coach Larry Hale, KTSU, how has Trey Jefferson been as a player and also as a teammate since he's been back the second go-round?
You know, I said this last night about Trey. I think I suspended Trey 3 times, I think, this year. And he has made the greatest his transformation has been amazing, you know, and I had to do it. It cost us the conference championship regular season, but his talent is top in the country, and he's a tough guy, but I had to get him to understand that his behavior has to fit the setting that he's in. And in college basketball, you want to behave like the rest of the guys in college basketball is behaving. And he has been remarkable. You know, now I think he has a chance to be an NBA basketball player because he's made that change. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 or 5 years for guys to make that change, but he's made that change over the last 2 months, because when I suspended the second time, I think he was 4th in the country in scoring at 23 points a game. So he gave that up. He gave the Player of the Year up in our league. He gave all conference, because you have to play 75% of the games for you to receive that kind of award or be ranked in scoring. And so his maturity right now is remarkable. He's a tough guy. All our guys follow him. I mean, he's 5'7". He says 150, but I'm thinking he's about 125. But he thinks he weighs like 500 pounds. He's just, you know, his attitude and personality right now is where it should have been 4 years ago or 3 years ago. But like my assistant coaches always say, if he'd have been that person he is now, he never would have played at Texas Southern.
Mike, you mentioned he has a chance at the NBA, and you mentioned his improved attitude. What about his play? What does he do that you think can get him over the top?
He just thinks he's the best that ever played the game. You know, we go we go into a game, and the worst thing you can do is start talking about another player. You know, Trey act like he doesn't know who he is. And I asked him one day, "Do you know LeBron James?" He said, "Well, who? I don't know LeBron James." So he has that personality and attitude that no one phases him, and don't talk about anyone in front of him, because he just feels like he's the best. And he's won every matchup that he played this year. We didn't win the game, but he won the matchup, he says. And so I have to agree with him because he's on my team. And you have to know Trey, if you don't agree with what he's saying and what he's doing, you know, he kind of waver a little bit. But he want to win, and I thought last night and our last 8 games, he has changed. He's a changed person, and all the things people said about him, you know, coming here was true. But he's changed that. He's changed that. And I couldn't be as proud of a player that I am of him, just because of the way he's changed his personality. He's still fiery. He's still, you know, he's still going to talk on the court, but he's a leader now, and he needs to be that leader to lead our program.
Anything else for the head coach? Okay, Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Florida State is our last school up here. They'll be up here at 5 o'clock. remember you now. Sure. Yeah. In fact, I met you more than once when I was at Multi-Ed Sports. Yeah, because we did the OVC printing, and I think I sat in with you guys spring meetings at some point. Yeah. How long you been out of business?
Well, I'm with the Obama.
Okay. 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 Right, right. I'm retired. Yeah. After multi-ed, I was there 15 years, and I retired from there. And I do this, and I play golf, and I teach. I substitute teach in middle schools. And I'm in outside Peoria, Washington. Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. I still have season tickets at Bradley, go to all the games. I know some people over there. Yeah. Hey, we'll be here all week, right? Yeah. My phone's blowing up because of Loyola's win. They beat Miami, yeah. We're made it 3 or 2 seconds ago. I won by 2. The phone's blowing up across me. Where?
It's between here and the hotel. So we thought we'd go back to the hotel and change the shop.
Okay. That's good. Fine. Yeah.
You can get the hot spice that you want if it's no heat.
Okay. All right. Well, you're right. And if I don't have to drive, that'd be great. Our final team is the 5 o'clock showing, Florida State University Seminoles. They are the number 9 seed in the West region. They are out of the Atlantic Coast Conference. They will play number 8 Missouri in Friday's final game. The men's basketball contact is Chuck Walsh. And the student athletes representing the Seminoles are Terrence Mann, Phil Kofer, Brian Angola, and Trent Forrest. And we will go right to questions. Start right there. Thank you.
I guess this is for anybody. How do you kind of evaluate a guy like Michael Porter when it's been one game and it was after a long rest? How do you study for a guy like that?
We'll go with Terrence and Brian with that, please.
I mean, we know he's a good player. You know, everyone see what he done in high school. So, you know, everyone kind of knows he's a good player. We just got to contain him and follow the scouting report.
Yeah, like Terrence said, we know what he's capable of doing. Yeah, we know the talent that he got, and our coaches have well prepared for him and what he's capable of doing.
Terrence, I won't ask you what the scouting report is, but you said follow the scouting report. I mean, how difficult is it to have one when the guy's played 25 minutes all season?
You just got to contain him, keep him in front of you, just like anybody else. You know, keep them in front of you. You know, when he shoots his shots, contest them.
Yep, 2 right here.
This one's for Phil and Trent. Going up against guys like Dwayne and Isaac last season, do you guys think playing with those guys, playing against those guys in practice could help you go up against a talent like Michael Porter?
I think definitely. Just, you know, one figure is probably Jonathan Isaac. You know, he's long, athletic, so it was definitely, you know, pretty hard for him, you know, on the defensive side. But I think it was great for us, you know, to have him here, and it definitely helped us in practice.
Trent, yeah, does that help you?
I would say yes. It definitely helps being able to guard somebody that tall and that athletic. I feel like John, he gave us a great example of that last year. And it was just very tough being able to guard somebody with that skill set.
Phil, the other Porter, I guess, Jonte, a lot of guys at 6'11" are going to be guys that play more down low. What have you seen out of him on film? What challenges are there in guarding a bigger guy that tends to play maybe a little bit more outside?
He's definitely versatile. You know, he can pick and pop. You know, he can go down low. He can pretty much do anything. So we're definitely going to have, you know, our bigs are going to have to get down and low for to be able to guard around the perimeter. But we're going to stick to our game plan and just do what we do.
Steve McGarvey, Associated Press. For Terrence, I know you aren't looking ahead or anything, but the possibility of facing Xavier in the next round after what they did to you last year, how much of an incentive is that to maybe get that next chance at him?
It's definitely motivation. You know, a lot more motivation to get to that next round, to see them as a rematch. But we got this game tomorrow night that we got to focus on. So, you know, the whole team is basically focused on, you know, Missouri.
This question's for Phil. What was your relationship like with Cuonzo when he recruited you to Tennessee, and what did you like about him?
It was definitely, I'll probably say another father figure. I think, you know, he's a great character guy, and I think I talk with him pretty much all the time. And it's definitely cool to, you know, finally play against him because I haven't seen him since probably my, you know, Tennessee days. But besides that, it's going to be a good game tomorrow. So.
Gentlemen, what's this experience like for you this year? Whereas last year it was the first time you guys made the tournament. Is it anything different this time? Do you think your experience from last season really does carry over here?
Well, we are really excited to be here. Like we were talking in the locker room, we're just glad to be back, and we're just trying to play as hard as we can and have fun and enjoy the moment.
Who else can answer to that? Who was here last year?
I mean, obviously, you know, it's a great opportunity to be back, especially how we went out last year, and it's just another opportunity to try to prove people wrong. So we're going to try and take full advantage of it, definitely.
Terrence, what do you think has really prepared you guys for this opportunity throughout the course of this season specifically?
You talking about playing against Missouri specifically? Basically just playing in the ACC in general. You know, every game is a big game. It's a big spotlight. just like, this game tomorrow night. So I think a lot of us are well prepared for it, and we've been in, plenty of situations like this.
Is there an ACC team that you've played this year that is similar to what you see on film out of Missouri? Is there a team you can compare to Missouri that we've played already?
We're going to have Brian and Trent answer that one, please.
I would probably say North Carolina. They're pretty big, physical guys. North Carolina kind of similar to that. They were able to shoot the ball really well, so I would say North Carolina.
Yeah, I probably would say North Carolina and Clemson. They're a very physical team, and they have guys that can shoot the ball from the perimeter and run the floor very well, so I'd probably say that.
Trent, there's been some mention and some things made of your guys' struggles defending the three-point line kind of later in the season, especially against a team that relies on it so much. What do you need to do in this game to not let Missouri, get open shots?
I would say just be able to play smart defense, being there on the catch when guys catch the ball, being able to run them off the line. So I feel like just being there on the catch and trusting our defensive principles will kind of take care of itself.
Anything else for the student athletes of Florida State? Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. You are dismissed. Best of luck tomorrow night. Thank you. Coach Hamilton is next up at 5:15. right there in front of your name. The head coach of the Seminoles is Leonard Hamilton, and he's going to open up with a statement about being here in Nashville, and then we'll go to questions. Coach?
This has been a very interesting year for our basketball team. Started with after last year when we lost 5 players, two seniors and 3 kids that are now playing in the NBA and a couple kids playing overseas. We knew that the upcoming year would be tremendously challenging for us to continue to keep building on the culture that we was trying to establish over the last number of years. And so our players had a clear understanding of what our challenge would be because the expectations had been raised. But we had a bunch of guys who had been support players who now were going to be instrumental in leading and guiding our team. And so we realized that it was going to be tremendously challenging. But I'm very proud of these guys because I think that what we've done is we faced it. We've been a little inconsistent, but I think that we've played some very good basketball at times. And hopefully we have grown some wisdom from the challenges that this season has given us, and hopefully this will give us an opportunity to show the growth and maturity that we've gained and made throughout the course of the year. So the NCAA now gives us an opportunity to kind of like a new season. That hopefully we'll be able to show that we've grown a little and where we are, and hopefully where we're trying to grow as a team.
First question's right here, the third row.
Coach, what are the challenges in scouting and preparing for a team that now added a player who's only played 25 minutes this season for you to have on film?
Well, I've been asked that question several times about Michael Porter, and I don't understand why people are asking me why that's going to be difficult, because we've watched him play for a number of years, and he's a tremendously talented youngster. In fact, he's one of the top 4 or 5 basketball players in college basketball. And so, as young people say, we don't have it twisted. We know exactly what we're facing. We're facing a youngster that is tremendously talented, that's healthy. And when we watched the film of the game that he did play in, I was just amazed at the level of confidence that he played with. He shot the ball from the 3-point line with a tremendous amount of confidence. He shot a turnaround jump shot like he's been doing it all year long. He took the ball the length of the court. He moved the ball and made the extra pass. He played almost like a veteran, a guy whose maturity level is beyond his years. And so we have a tremendous amount of respect for their team because I think they've had a very good year. They've had some challenges that they've had to overcome. And sometimes when you go through a season as a first-year coach and you overcome the challenges that they've had, you gain a lot of wisdom through that. And so now you're adding your very best player and coming into the season. That gives you an added boost, an added level of confidence. And so we're tremendously impressed with them. We know we have a tremendous challenge, and in order for us to be successful, we're going to have to be at our best. They kind of represent some of the teams that we play in the ACC night in and night out that have great players on it, like Black Porter and both of the Porters. I'm just as equally as impressed with the younger brother because the CL6'11" guy that dribbles and passes and shoots the ball as well as he does is extremely impressive. A guy who is very adaptive scoring inside, who's shot close to 100 threes during the course of the year. A team that 44% of their attempts are three-pointers, and then they have a great inside attack. So I can't only give a lot of overly concerned about the Porters because they have a lot of other guys who are really, really talented as well. And it's motivating our players, hopefully, to be at their very best like we have to do in the ACC night in and night out.
Coach, you spoke about the film that you've seen of Michael Porter throughout high school. For your players, Jonathan Isaac, playing with him and playing against him in practice, does it give you your players a similar skill set to have Jonathan last season and going up against preparing for Porter?
Well, it's very difficult to try to compare players like that. It's just that he's just a tremendous talent. He's long, he's athletic, he has great basketball awareness, he has a high basketball IQ. He comes from a basketball family. He has tremendous skill, and he's well coached. And more than anything else, he's extremely hungry to go out and show the world that he is who they've already expects him to be. So, but the interesting thing, Missouri is not the kind of team that you can give all your attention to only one or two players. They're well coached. They execute their offense very well. Defensively, they're very sound fundamentally. They're extremely physical. They play awful hard, and they're very well coached. I've known Coach Martin for a long time. He's been successful everywhere he's been. We know his team's going to be well prepared, and we need to be at our best in order to be successful.
Cuonzo talked about you being one of the guys that really kind of helped him when he was early on in this profession. What do you remember about maybe reaching out to him or getting to know him?
Well, I think that says that I've been around a long time, and that when you look around sometimes. But I've always tried to make myself be available for anything I can do to help younger coaches, because I had some great mentors myself, and I always had guys that helped guide me through those moments where I had some indecision about some of the decisions that I had to make. I've always had a healthy respect for Cuonzo, and like I said earlier, I've always tried to be touchable, a guy that people who feel that they have certain issues or concerns, that they're comfortable talking with me. And we've had a lot of, I guess you call, fireside chats that we've, off-the-record conversations that we've had to have about the challenges of our business. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for Cuonzo, because we all know that he's a tremendous coach from an X and O standpoint. But anytime you see a young guy who has a tremendous passion and love and respect for the game as he does, and he displays that between how he communicates with his players, how he holds them accountable, how they respect him and the role model that he set for them, I admire that. And you know that not only will his teams be well prepared, but he's preparing young people for life after basketball, as well as preparing them for the game. And anytime a guy of that caliber reaches out, I feel honored that he would even reach out and want to talk to me, because I admire and respect what he's done and what he's done in his coaching career. And if I can be of any assistance to a guy like him, and he and I have developed pretty good relationships, that there have been times I've gotten phone calls early in the morning, late at night, and we've had to have what we call those brother-in-law conversations, that what we call graveyard conversations, that we talk about it and we leave it there. But that's the nature of any business. I think that sometimes it's good to have somebody like myself, who has made a lot of mistakes. You know, I've learned, not because I've been smart than anyone else, because I've made enough mistakes, and sometimes mistakes will teach you how not to make the same mistake again. So sometimes I'm just available so he won't bump his head against the wall like some of the bumps that I had. So I keep him from bumping his head as much as I can.
Coach, with CJ and Trent, you have two really unselfish, really charismatic guys leading your offense, leading your team. What have they kind of done to take on leadership roles, and how do they kind of progress the culture change that you are trying to instill here? Well, you're talking about two sophomores who they play well. They lead our team as point guards, and they play off each other very well when we play them together. CJ's more of a scoring point guard. Trent Forrest has been more of a pass-first type of guy, a guy who gives us tremendous defense and leadership. The thing that's impressive about Trent is that he had an injury early in the year, a bone bruise that kept him out of action and out of practice for almost 7 weeks. And even when he came back, he was cleared to practice and play, but psychologically he was a little uncertain, uneasy about stopping and starting and changing direction and exploding and landing, those things that go along with sometimes recovering from an injury. So it took him a while, almost a month,
to get back to playing with the level of confidence. Early on in the preseason, Trent probably could have been our best player. He was displaying so many things that you're just not starting to see him get back and display who he is and what he's about as a team. But both of those guys have been, for sophomores, they've been great for our program, and we feel confident about the future of our program if it's in those guys' hands. Thank you all very much.
No. We got 5 minutes to go.
I'm sorry.
We have a question right here. They love you.
I know you said that it's hard to compare players, so I don't know if there's a specific guy, but with Jontay Porter, a guy who's his size and plays as much on the perimeter as he does, I mean, how rare is that, or is it becoming a little more common?
Well, to be real honest with you, I do think that's the way basketball is moving. Guys who are positionless type of players, and he displays that way. I mean, he'll get a rebound. There was one play in one game, I think it might have been in the Georgia game, where I think Michael got the rebound, and he threw an outlet pass to his 6'11" brother running down the right side. And the interesting thing is Michael was sprinting down the middle of the court, and he kicked the ball up to his 6'11" brother filling the lane. He caught it with one hand and flipped it over to his other 6'10" brother going down the middle of the court. And I said, wow, that was impressive. You know, one 6'10" guy throwing an outlet pass to a 6'11" brother, and he catching it in one hand and touch passing it to his brother running down the middle of the court. I had to replay that to make sure that I was what I was seeing. But it says a lot about where the game's going and his parents and how skilled they are, the feel that they have for the game. That just says an awful lot that they are special and unique players and they definitely have our full attention.
Anything else for the head coach of Florida State? Okay, now we're finished.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck tomorrow. And that is a wrap for today. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you at the games tomorrow.